He is an engineer, an electrical engineer, a computer engineer, a scientist, an honoris causa DLit from the Lal Bahadur Shastri Rashtriya Sikshana Vidyapith, New Delhi. Traditionally, he has studied in the Gurukula system under his own father, Ghanapati Parankushacharya, Traitriya Krishna Yajurveda, Vyakarana, Vishishtadvaita, Vedanta, and Nalayara Divya Prabandham. In fact, he is also going to give a lecture on Nalayara Prabandham in the afternoon. Professionally, President, Computers and Sanskrit Section, All India Oriental Conference, member of standing committees of MEICT projects, UGC, member Academic Committee and Implementation Committees, member MHRD Expert Group, etc., etc. He has been honored with titles like the Veda Varidhi, Veda Vijnana Shiromani, Vaidika Bhushanam, Asthana Vidwan, Vachaspati DLit, Samskrita Mitra, Shastra Ratnakara, Veda Vidya Pravina, Veda Vedanta Kovida, Dattapitha Asthana Vidwan, Veda Shri, etc., etc. He has presented a number of scholarly papers in various seminars nationally, most important of which is a technical presentation to the Honorable Prime Minister of India and MPs on Deshika software and NLU system for Sanskrit at Parliament Annex, New Delhi on the 11th September 1991 regarding computer and Sanskrit research national status. He is an endless reservoir of information about Sanskrit and the Vedas, and he is a remarkable resource person too. We are honored to have Vedavarithi Dr. P. Ramanujan delivering a lecture on online teaching of Vedas. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. P. Ramanujan.
Idamahai devagam idanyane namasyama namasyane yajama yajniyane idamahai devagam idanyan namasyama namasyane yajama yajniyanityaha manusyava idanyaha pitaro namasya deva yajniya devata eva tadyatha bhagam yajati. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just wanting to make a presentation rather than just a talk. The whole concept of using technology for the ancient learning is the basic item that I am wanting to describe here. We have ancient wisdom in the country. It does not mean we should only be stuck to the earlier methods. If we can adapt to the newer methods and help people get interest or do better work, particularly in research, that should be welcomed by everybody. So today I am only wanting to talk about, this talk was initially there on the last day, and last day today we have a lot of programs coming up and it is going to be too hectic. So we thought we will try to rearrange some of the programs. So online teaching actually means if someone has to learn, teaching involves number of resources apart from the teacher himself. So today we have the information technology and communication technology helping us. So the Government of India has conceived of a national mission on education through information and communication technology. This is called NMEICT. I have been part of that program. We have done certain projects. In fact, yesterday also I had to go for a meeting of that project in the UGC. So the issue is now there is some interest even from the government side to enhance the level of learning in the country, blending the ancient and modern. So in that context, I am just wanting to show, actually this was done as a project called Tarkshya. Tarkshya was the name I had given at that time. This is used as an acronym, TARKSHYA in English. technology for analysis of rare knowledge systems for harmonious youth advancement. That was what the heading. Because this is taken from the Veda mantra, Swasti Nastaraksha Arishta Nemihi. We tried to write number of lectures and study material through the modern facilities. You can use a PowerPoint presentation, you can have an audio recording, you can have a video recording, you can have question answer session, we will have assessment systems, etc. These are some of the ways. All these are available on our website, CDAC's website, and future, of course, we are also going to put it in number of other mirror sites so that one could be getting them. Here what we see is any particular topic somebody takes, he can, for example, this is related to Vyakarana. How does somebody write? How does somebody convey in English, in Sanskrit, etc. So that way there are many topics that were covered at that time. This is one kind of using technology wherein it need not be from the books. It need not be a prescribed complete book, but the essence of what is there in that. Can you tabulate the knowledge that you have got into a table? These are some of the ways of looking at assessing learning of a person. In fact, Vedas have remarkably done this. Purusha Sukta alone is sufficient. Someone wants to understand how is the world to be understood. Just take it as two at a time. Those that eat and those who do not eat. Sashana, Nashane, Abhi is one kind of a classification. Among all things, there are certain categories that eat, certain others which do not. Or in the case of animals kind of thing, Aranyan, Gramyan, these are the kind of divisions that you try to make. Some are domestic animals, some are wild animals. Any given place, you can try to classify information, get to your mind, then use that appropriately. This is what generally learning is about. We are just wanting to see some of these kind of techniques can be used using the modern systems that we have. So, of course, we will also have a number of, say for example, on the Vedic part, what are the contents of Vedas? Ancient system of the study, how was it? Where was the need for written forms? When it was written, how was it written? Try to know it through a proper development of the subject, apart from just the mantras alone. It is not recitation alone. This is one part of it, an important part of it, but it has to be supplemented and completed with the rest of the information. Today we are wanting to supplement that significance part, meaning part, related other information, particularly, of course, even from then to now. I have been answering many of the parliament questions whenever there is an important question asked. So there is a good question. There is also a good proceeding that took place in the parliament. What is the difference between classical Sanskrit and Vedic Sanskrit? This was one of the questions asked, and very detailed explanation given. And at that time, Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister who himself knew Sanskrit very well. And so he would keep on asking more questions, and then this is the way students have to be taught, is what we are now trying to think. Create the facility first, then tell people this is good, possibly this will be accepted. This is the kind of effort. So you can talk about the scripts, accents, etc., etc. And this is how we have tried to put number of information using online resources. Today, of course, the teacher and the student may not be in the same place, still nothing is lost. For example, even this is one important item. How does somebody type Vedas with swaras in the computer? If you want to have something online, you should be able to use the medium or the machines. So there is a standard built for this. When I joined CDAC about 23 years ago, the first thing I did was, how are we going to type the swaras of? At that time, 13 different shakhas were available of the 4 different Vedas. Each one has its own system of marking. So for all of them, we need to have a proper standard. And the standard was called ISKI standard. As opposed to the ASCII standard, American Standard Code is used in all computers today. India came up with an Indian Standard Code for information interchange, which I was at least able to initiate, and today we are able to use that. This is how the code chart looks like. Both sides we need to understand. You want to use a tool, you understand the tool also. At the same time, the content is what is going to drive the development of the tool. Then what need made somebody create something. Today, of course, even in that meeting, I remember, I told the Prime Minister in my first meeting, sir, I am not happy using the computers for the Sanskrit, but I have no other choice. Today, this is the only tool available, people know about it. Then he asked, left to you, what would you do differently? And I said, I would try to do away with all these machines. we will have a system which is voice based. You would speak into a system and the system will speak back to you. This is what I said. In fact, there is also a write-up made. There is also some research happening even now. So we said this is unnatural using a keyboard, whereas speaking is a natural way. And of course, this is how one can think about. Think about the way of doing things. How did the Maharishis do? I told him, whenever we want to know something, we get back to our roots and see this problem, how was it handled by our Maharishis? And this is when we get the reply. So, if you just see, for example, how the keyboard has to be used for typing swaras, this is just showing how the swaras are to be used in Rig Veda and Yajur Veda. Whereas for Samveda, we need a different kind of system. So, these kind of different things were created, they are now available. In fact, now we can even see with swara in Grantha script also. We now recently have made Nandinagari font also. For any given different manuscript, the way it is written in the olden days, to exactly represent them, then understand what do they contain. You learn the mantra all right, also know about what is it dealing with, what is its greatness, and along with it, where can it be beneficial to us. This is, in fact, Rishi Chandra Devata Vinyoga is nothing but this. It is not meant to be repeated or parroted, it is meant to be digested and utilized. And that is where we are wanting to use, for example, various manuscripts. We have written software to convert text from the manuscripts into different scripts, etc. These are some of the help that can be used in case of online teaching. Now, there is another way of looking at the whole thing. Suppose, this is one of the presentations that was made to the ministry, and we are now working on this project anyway. Now, for example, you think of the whole country as one single laboratory or one single institution. Involve everybody as a network or as a consortium. Anyone can benefit from anyone else's expertise, provided they are willing to share. And today, we need to drive this somehow, make people realize we need everyone else, and we should also be of use to the others. If that kind of thing comes up, we could have different kinds of institutions. See, there are universities, there are IITs, there are IIMs, there are also law universities, there are medical universities, there are also arts and science departments. None of them should be any different or lower or higher. In fact, when I argued, when I went for this project, I want to have an IIT for Vedas. This is what I told the minister. And he simply said, yes, granted, but only write up all the things that are required. IITs have a total system. I said, yes, I am from that system, I know it thoroughly. I have the write up, and that is why I am asking you. Today, this is slowly taking shape. All the necessary paraphernalia is getting created. It might take 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, no problem on that. If someone keeps working, has a faith that this is where I would like to reach, and this is the path I am taking, Gachat pipilika panktihi samudramapi gachati. If there is a row of ants living now here, wants to reach the ocean, someday it will definitely reach, because it is never ceasing from action. Agachan vainate yopi padamekan nagachati. Maybe we take Garuda, is the fastest. It doesn't move, means nothing. His speed is of no use ultimately. So the intention is to just see in the context of using the technology, we are making our own knowledge much better. You are organizing your own learning. See, I was asked, in fact, some American scientists and Japanese were once very keen. How do you rattle out answers or give out the locations or quotations, etc.? I am trained like that. One person asked, I would like to cut open your brain and see how does it work when a question is asked. Then I said, you don't have to take that violent path. I am myself trying to do that. Put it through programs, write it out in form of some tables, various ways. I am even seeing, when I answer a question, what are all the processes involved? Can I transfer this to some student if he comes to me for learning? Then that step-by-step approach. For example, I have just tried to put, on the one side I am sitting at CEDAC, let us say, and there is some Gurukulam in some remote place. They would like to see, we want to now learn, we have some set of manuscripts with us, we have some books, we want to get your expertise to use this. How do we do? Now, the step next comes up. I cannot go to every place. I require a well, I have to cook myself, I require charcoal, firewood, etc. People will be afraid to host me. But that's not a problem. That is when I said, online training is one of the ways. You sit in your place, I sit in my place, both are happy. But still we can have a knowledge exchange. Then what do we actually do here? We have constant interactions between the centers where there are learners and the place where the expert is sitting. Now, between them, the technology then forms the bridge. What do we actually use this interaction for is create content for the training courses. We have to train the teachers, and once teachers are trained, they will be able to train further students. In fact, we have under the ministry a train the trainer program. But IIT Bombay is now doing 10,000 computer science professors are taught from IIT Bombay simultaneously. So I am visualizing a time when some expert would be sitting addressing 1,000, 10,000 Vedic scholars and then tell them, use the same infrastructure. It is meant for everybody in the country. There is an optical fiber network, there is a national knowledge network. Fortunately, I am part of every infrastructure project of the country. And because of that, I am wanting that to be used for even this field. Now, how does this actually work? You interact, create the content for how to train people, create the course material, offer this course for curriculum. So that is the reason we found 2-3 years we created content. Nobody was using them because it was not mattering for the examination or for the degree. Then I started to UGC. Now I am part of UGC as well to tell them, unless UGC makes it mandatory, you use the recent knowledge available, don't go by what is written decades ago, then this should count for the evaluation, getting the degree of the person. So now there is a broad understanding, 10% of the syllabus must be taken online, and that should also, something like this. We are trying to start somewhere. But first question was, 3 years back, where is the content, was the question. Now I have 1 lakh pages of more than 600 text fully available. Now I say, come on, start with this, use it at maybe 10% level, still let someone go benefit out of this. This is one kind. The other kind is for the libraries. There is another national mission on the manuscripts. This is called Rashtriya Pandulipi Mission. There we have manuscript libraries. For example, Melkota, you go to Academy of Sanskrit Research, thousands of palm leaf manuscripts are available. Saraswati Mahal you go, Adyar Library you go, Tirupati Venkateswara University, any place. But I have visited at least 30 of them. Many others are available. So now on the one side I have the manuscript library. We have our office sitting here. We would now like to see, we can scan the content. Some rare books even, maybe 100 years ago something was published. You cannot equal that today, but that is not available today. And what do you do? So that is when we now scan out, if possible type it out, or ask somebody to read it off. But we had one occasion where it could not be typed, it is in Sharda Lipi, and many people don't even know it. One expert is available. Go to him with a recorder, ask him to read and record that and bring it here. Type it out leisurely, no difficulty. So number of media is given. It could be text, it could be audio, it could be video, it could be animation. Whatever you want to do, there we use technology and then connect up these two. Here also, online training is needed on both sides, using the tools and handling the manuscript. In fact, the other day we saw how fragile something is, but this is something given to us, we have inherited through centuries. You have to be proud of it, but not by worshipping, but by using. So this is where technology can be of use. So then what we do is, we scan the palm leaf. In fact, on the 28th, we get Dr. Ramachandran from Palghat, who is working for an American university for more than 3 decades now. He had come in the same place some other occasion, we both met, I was making a presentation. He simply offered, you have so many bundles of manuscripts, I will take them, scan them all, give it to you back. Now he has given me back all of them, maybe 10,000, 20,000 leaves, he has already scanned. I know the subject, then I am wanting to use that into. So the step is scan the palm leaves, create an online catalog of the scanned manuscripts. This is searchable, this can be used from our own desktop, upload them to a server. It could be CDAC server, I have my own server at home, anyone can do this today, it's not a problem. Then browse that catalog, ask for something. After you get the catalog, you send a request for a manuscript. If somebody wants to use some of this from the repository, you send a request. Then you get that copy, upload that back, use them for the analysis. I have written programs to use the Shadangas for the 4 Vedas. Use that through this, try to get the meaning, what is the word, what is the division, what is the accent, what should be the Purvapaksha Siddhanta, whatever one wants. So this is one of the ways of benefiting from technology on the one side, and age-old, time-tested wisdom on the other side. Now, if these two are matched, you can have a virtual university. There is nothing wrong. University is not building. University is not pay structure or staff, non-technical, technical teaching, all kind of thing. It is not examinations. It is not vacation. It is basically a learning activity. If learning is the center, there is not much of a problem. So this is one thing I was just basically wanting to communicate. Initially it was difficult. Now a few things are there to show. Seeing is believing is slowly happening. Using is benefiting. So ultimately when you yourself do this, you would also benefit and see. Now, where can this be applied? There is no limit. Whatever one wants to know. Skype is one way today. Some people know, they have been using. Somebody can be sitting in some corner, another can be in another corner, they can still interact. Like I also mentioned on the other day's talk, the Padopasangrahana is not possible. So the Vidya is not complete. But I have my own nephew sitting in the US. He comes once every year, physically, properly learns for a few days, then goes back, records this, continues, then of course the Skype sessions follow. See, the Grahanadhyayana is done in person, Dharanadhyayana is done even if the Guru is not in front of you, kind of. So, taking into account today's constraints and limitations, but not sacrificing on the quality or the depth, there is a way today. It is a hard way, but it is worthwhile. It is all the while. As you keep traversing in the journey, it itself is pleasant journey. When you understand something new, that joy is definitely different. And it can be explained, it can be transferred. Let everyone do. And for that we can create a method. This is what basically I was wanting to stress upon. What is the time available? Okay. So what we will then do is, take maybe any of them. There is no kind of an example kind of thing I was wanting to take. Among some of these speakers, for example, this is one project that we did earlier. In fact, we heard Professor Kannan the first day during the inaugural session. He has given a talk. Pandit Raja N.T. Srinivasa Iyengar of Bangalore, one of the great grammarians, he could not even speak much, but see the way we get information from experts. Why are they called as experts? You know, Vyakarana is given in the form of 8 adhyayas by Panini. Then how do we actually understand this? You just try to see based on the topics. Do we know which sutra deals with what? You want to look for something, where do you look for? See, this is how this is put in the form of a table. Prathama adhyaya, how many sutras? First pada, how many is there? What does it deal with? Second adhyaya, how many sutras? This is not the Siddhanta Kaumudi method. This is the systematic Prachina Krama, where Kashika was written, Mahabhashya was written, etc. Today, because of the exigencies and urgencies, we lose out a lot of information, then get into difficulty. But in the sum total, finally, shortcuts are longer than the normal route itself. Many shortcuts put together become much longer than the normal route itself. So this is something that one needs to see, understand and experience. So pada wise, adhyaya wise, what is being taught, how many sutras, even this, if you have a mental map of this, this is how, if at all I answer sometimes somebody, it is only because the way it is stored is into the form of a proper relational database in the mind. You know the relations, you know place where what is available. So this is something should be taught, I am saying. I am fortunate because I was taught like this by my masters. Father, many others with whom I learned, everyone drove this into me. This is what we are talking about, not the words, the concepts, the meanings, and how are they useful, how are they interacting. This kind of a new method can always help understand in depth, or there is one other important benefit. These many problems we do not know answers for as of today. This is also a very great statement to make. We have found in general a hesitation with a scholar to say, I don't know. Many people hesitate to say, I don't know, if they really don't know. Instead of trying to mislead somebody, you don't know, you think the other person doesn't know, and you think whatever you say he would believe. All these are not necessary. If we do not know what we do not know, there is no way we will ever know that is worth knowing. So when we do, in fact I have tried, when we did this program, there was one very, very good incident. I joined in Pune when I joined this activity, because at that time SEDAC headquarters was in Pune. Pune, of course, has one of the best set of Sanskrit scholars in the country. So I went there, interacted with people there, benefited a lot. Also asked them a lot of questions because I was trying to program Panini's grammar. For the 4,000 sutras, we had around 13,000 questions raised by the machine. We had typed out the sutras, split into words, analyzed each one of them using the Deshika program that I had written. Then there were many doubts. Then for all these doubts, I used to ask, there were at least 15 of 80 plus great scholars in Pune at that time. I'm talking of 1990s. Initially, they all started feeling, he doesn't even know this much. Fine, no issues about it. I don't know, I have come to ask you, no issue. But sir, if you know, you tell me. There was sometimes difficulty. Now, in fact, one of the scholars very nicely said, I initially thought you did not know. After hearing the question, now I don't know. This is something, you are successful in transferring your doubt to me. This is what he said. Now, you are an expert. You please dig into and get me the answer. I am happy about it. So, there has been a good interaction with scholars. So, the idea is basically to see, use technology, but use the brain much better. If you have a much better environment given to you, the result expected will also be much higher, much better. So, we will benefit out of what is available. Puranamityeva nasadu sarvam, nachapi kinchit navamityavadyam, santah parikshe anyatarad bhajante. Let us see what is good in what and blend them. This was what I wanted to convey. I think my time is up and then I will stop here. These presentations, of course, can never end. So, time can ultimately be the only thing that can stop things. Thank you all. Any questions, of course, I am ready to take. No, anyway, if somebody wants to ask something, is fine. Illanda continue ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. Let us see. No problem. No, but I know. And next person is there. It's okay. Okay. No, anyway. So okay, I am being asked to continue a little more. I want to stress a few issues. How we planned this project, even this is important. Of course, this different tasks that we had at that time, the idea was to go with those who are 90 plus. In fact, when we told the government we will do such a project, they were a little surprised initially. I said, those who are 90 plus, we are concentrating. How do you select people? The minister asked me. I simply said, sir, there is a list of President of India awardees. I only take the list of President of India awardees in Sanskrit. There was a list of about 37 scholars alive at that time who were above 60. Of course, normally given after the year of 60. So we chose 90 plus first. Go to them in their own places, in their areas of expertise, ask them to speak in Sanskrit and record that. Of course, I later interviewed them, asked questions, answers, etc. Then all the texts that they have said are available with us, we linked them together. In fact, the oldest of them is one Parshurama Ganapati. He belongs to Shukla Yajurveda. Now he is running 99. I think he is completing. He is still there. Good fortune for us, no issues. But when we interacted, I remember very vividly, went to his house somewhere near Ambattur in Chennai. I had spoken to him over the phone. He said, he even directed me for the vehicle, how to come, where to turn, etc. At that age, he is still active and interested. But I told him, you could have asked any of your students. He was waiting on the doors. He simply said, Vedas have a kind of a message. If somebody takes so much pains to come to my place, can I not come to my gate? I'm just saying, no, these are the live examples. You don't get this in the books. Of course, he didn't allow me immediately inside. It took some 5 minutes. I said, why? I want to do a proper Vedic Ashirvada to you. I'm just saying, when you start on something good, you get the divine blessings. This does not happen if you go to an IIT, if you go to any modern education, simply because it has something in it intrinsically. Of course, we had the interactions, then he spoke about the Shukla Yajurveda Bhashya on the Madhyantana Shakha. Then, of course, Kandu Shakha, I asked the differences he gave. They are all available on our website. All the interactions, the video of all of them. But the point is to now see how do you identify list out all the Vidyasthanas, get at least one person for every one of them, have a uniform distribution. In some case there will be number of people, some case there may not be any. Still try to find a person. In fact, even this Samvada was organized more or less on those lines simply because we wanted to have a representation. In fact, if there are lesser people, that becomes more important. Samveda, for example, if Ranayana is there are very few people. You have to concentrate there first and try to see if that can also come up a little more. Kind of. So when we plan out for going to experts who have lived their life for the study of the subject. Then the others can wait is the common logic. It is not that we know the ages of people, but in general, the eldest first. Abhyarhitam purvam. This is what Panini's rule says. If there are many people, among them you have to respect them, go to the eldest first. Abhyarhitam purvam is general rule. We follow that. Then one of the cases is there is one lady called Pushpa Dikshit. She stays in Bilaspur. I have seen over the years her handling classes of Vyakarana to people. Give her 1 hour time. You say you want to know whole of Vyakarana. You need a jet-setting ears and brains to follow, but she has that speed to explain. Not a single mistake would be there. We went to her place, recorded things, asked her number of questions. We have in the collection, how does somebody change or enhance the quality of something is by bringing in newer insights, newer ways of looking at. Subjects are the same. Give Ashtadhyayi to 10 different people. Each one would view it differently. Put them all together. Then try to get the churning out of them. So in fact, this is what. That's okay. So anyway, I am getting a very good input from the director of Bharati Vidya Bhavan. What can Bhavan do to maybe realize the dream? In fact, I remember when I answered the Prime Minister, I just spoke from my write-up. He suddenly took that write-up. I asked, sir, why? There was some heading you had given. The heading was Beggar's Dream. This is what I had written. Then he said, why should it remain a dream? So I had just written, this is just my dream. I don't know whether I am dreaming now or awake. I don't know. This is what I would like to do. So today, of course, the Bharati Vidya Bhavan has come forward to say maybe a few steps they would take with us to realize this, maybe on a wider audience, maybe nationwide, if we could do this. Now, what is needed is, I was just talking to them even before talking of the Samvada. You have a platform, you have an academic activity. There is a university. In fact, I have even heard of Bhavan's Book University. You can now have Bhavan's Digital University. We can have the digital form of content that is available. Whatever is incomplete, we can complete. Whatever is complete can be made better. It can be embellished, etc. What should be initially done is an awareness. Outreach or disseminating this information. This has got a lot of valuable information. It is also available in media that are suitable to today's people. Someone can use even mobile, let us say, to learn something, and that would help people. So this e-learning,
Very sorry for the interruption, but this is something very interesting. One person from Ballari has come. He has brought this, the Talagri. Yeah. But they are doing puja for this, but they don't know what it contains. But since you are here, they just wanted to know what exactly is this. And
I was just mentioning to you about an examination, and I have got a question paper now. This is old Kannada anyway. This is old Kannada. Come. ಇದನ್ನು ಮೊದಲು ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಧೂಳು ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಎಣ್ಣೆಗನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದು 10 ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಕ್ಲೀನಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಸೋಣ. ಅಕ್ಷರ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದು ಹಳೇದಾಗಿ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ 300 ವರ್ಷ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇದು. ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ 300 ವರ್ಷ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಬನ್ನಿ. ಅದೇ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಭಾಷೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ಇದನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಮೊದಲು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಈ ಧೂಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತೆಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಮೊದಲು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಬ್ರಷ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದು ಫುಲ್ ಸೆಟ್ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಮೊದಲು ಕ್ಲೀನಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರಾಗಿ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಾಣದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಇಜ್ಜಿಲು ಪುಡಿ ಇದೆ ಒಂದು ಭಾಳ ಫೈನ್ ಇರೋದು, ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಎದ್ದು ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ ಲೆಟರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ವಿಷಯ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ. ಅದೇ ಇದಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಂ ಸರಿ, ರೇವಣ ಸಿದ್ದೇಶ್ವರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಗ್ರಂಥ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಕ್ಷರ ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬರೀ ಅಕ್ಷರ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದಿರೋ ಭಾಷೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಭಾಷೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಹಾಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸರಿ, ಅಲ್ಲ ಇಂಥದ್ದು ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮ್ಮಿಂದ ರಕ್ಷಿಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸೌಕರ್ಯ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ನೋಡೋಣ, ಅದೇ ವಿದ್ಯಾಭವನದವ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಥದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ, ಇದೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಶೇಖರಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಅದು ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇಂಥವ್ರ ದಾನಿಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ನಿಮಗೆ ನಾವು ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತ ಮಾಡೋ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಜನ ಇದನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಪ್ಪ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೂ ಒಂದು ತೃಪ್ತಿ ಉಂಟಾಗ್ಬೋದು. ಇದು ನಾವು ಹೇಳೋದಿಷ್ಟೇ, ಇದನ್ನು ಬರೆದವರು ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೆದಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಯೋಚಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮುಂದೆ ಬರೋ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗಳಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಬರೆದಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅವ್ರವ್ರಿಗೂ ತಲುಪಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ನೋಡಿ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಉದುರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಪುಡಿ ಪುಡಿಯಾಗಿ, ಇದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸೋಣ. ಓದೋದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟವಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅದೇ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನು ಕ್ಲೀನಪ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಇರೋದಂಥದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ ಇಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದೇ ನಾವು ಇದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಒಂದು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಸಂತೋಷ ಇದನ್ನು ಶೇಖರಿಸಿ ಇಟ್ಟು ತಂದಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ ಇಷ್ಟು ದೂರ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ card that basically connects. This does not happen with modern education, and there is nothing to talk about. That is another issue. What is there that great to talk about is another issue. Something so antique we do not find. Yeah, ಭಾಳ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ತಮಗೆ. ನೀವು ತಂದಿದ್ದು ಸಾಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ನಮ್ಗೆ ನೋಡೋ ದರ್ಶನ ಒಂದು ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೂ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನನಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು, ಅದನ್ನು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಓದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದಿದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹತ್ರ ಕೇಳಿ, ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ತಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಒಂಥದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ. ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾದರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಮಾಡ್ಸೋದು. So, I was talking to you about, this was the person, about the Shukla Yajurveda, Parshram Ganapati, who spoke, etc. This is the list of the kind of people. See, in the Samvada, there are very few people who know Lakshanas. There was one person who had done PhD on this. We went, talked to him, because he is quite good in Yajurveda also. In fact, he is also to come. Somehow, he in the last moment could not make it. I told him, he was also on our invitees list. So, this, for example, now, ancient metaphysics and philosophy itself. In fact, K.S. Varadacharya is one of the great scholars in Mysore. He is 90 plus. We took him for this. But he has the sharpness of a brain, a Tarkika. These are some of the things that one should keep in mind. Nyaya Shastra, somebody studies, is not meant for argumentation. It is basically meant for applying logic to arrive at decisions. If there is a doubt, Arsham Dharmopadeshancha Veda Shastra Avirodhina Yas Tarkena Anusandhatte Sa Dharmam Veda Netaraha. I have seen 2 such Nayayikas. One is K.S. Varadacharya. The other one is Pandit Lakshman Shastri Joshi in Pune. These 2 people, they did 2 different things. It is worth knowing. Lakshman Shastri Joshi I met when I went to Pune in 91. He used to be very active in the public forum, particularly on government policy. He was also 91 at that time. He was very widely consulted by the government of Maharashtra because he was a great Nayayika. And he used to express his opinion on things that are happening from newspaper reports, etc. Very regularly writing feedback on things. And he used to be called. And once I met him, he has a title there called Tarkatirtha. Tarkatirtha is one of the highest in that field. So, in one talk he mentioned, if you want to strengthen Marathi, you strengthen Sanskrit. Why? If you want to strengthen the leaf of a tree, you don't pour water to the leaf, you pour water to the root. This is what he mentioned. And it does not grow from the leaf, it grows from the root. So if the root is strengthened, and that is where, this is where Nyaya has to be applied. Someone should be able to talk the commoner's dictum, but drive him to what is the dharma behind. K.S. Varadacharya, on the other hand, one thing I very well remember, maybe 89 or 90, Mikhail Gorbachev of Russia, when USSR broke up, he was talking of glasnost and perestroika. Reading these news, K.S. Varadacharya wrote half a page report in Hindu, in the op-ed page, from the Nyaya Shastra saying this was inevitable but India can still avoid disasters. Now, paramparika, tarkika, understanding glasnost and perestroika, taking interest to reply through an op-ed page in Hindu. This is something one should be alive to the environment one who is in, but strengthen the values. But generally it is said, mix with people without getting mixed up. This is what is needed. We interact with people, yes, no doubt, but carry conviction, have proper tools of analysis. That is where basically I have chosen, hand-picked people. I had written 100 people. In fact, along with the beggar's dream, there was one page, my dream team. This is what I wrote. 100 people I had listed. Narasimha said, you have done a beautiful homework. Vittal was the secretary at that time, N. Vittal. He simply said, now I have got a solution for all problems. Any question that comes up, I will mark it to you in SEDAC and you will come and answer. It is important to think up, dream, but know how our Maharshis did this. In fact, I had listed Maharshis' names on the one side. Equivalent to them, we want some people today. 100 Rishis' names on the one side. Among today's scholars, these may stand up to that level. And that is something we should really promote. If Bhavan takes it up, do this well, do it nicely. Bring up leaders and excellent scholars in the society. It is possible to inspire them from our own ancestry, from the work that they have done. Like I think I mentioned the other day also. Ask the Gotra of everybody, take the names of the Rishi, tell them, do you know what your ancestors did? Why do you use this word? Just like maybe it should have been a number rather than a name, like it is given to prisoners. Suppose your name is 1, 2, 3, 4, what is the use? We don't have such a name. We have very, very meaningful, powerful names. We have a great lineage. Let us understand. Try to live up to whatever little it is possible. Then the online tools are very useful. It's after all an instrument. Use the instrument effectively, but the purpose should be guided by the ancient wisdom. The tail should not wag the dog. Because the technology is only supporting English, you should not try to study English. Create a technology for that. Annimindram karishyami, loko vastyad anindraka. Vishwamitra is great only because not only he found out Gayatri Mantra, if necessary, I will create a new Indra. That is what is that. Annimindram karishyami. So we should have that kind of a spirit. Learning can definitely benefit today. It's a boon that there is some development taking place, but it should also be widespread. In fact, yesterday in the meeting I mentioned to the Joint Secretary about Bharati Vidyavan also. We had the roadmap for Sanskrit development which I was explaining. I also told him, I am in the middle of a program. In fact, I also gave him the website, showed him. At that time some talk was going on, maybe Viragavacha was speaking. I also showed him, see, this is what is currently happening live in Bangalore. So there is a possibility to get into a consortium mode, join hands and try to see, use a good medium, use regional languages, try to reach out to as many people as possible. The content comes only from the Arshaya Vijnana that we all have. We have tried to do our bit, a small delta X we have tried to add to what was known. In 90, one could not type Vedas. Today it can be typed and searched. Maybe that is one improvement. But then who are the users in the end? Like I mentioned earlier, whether a physical library or a digital library, if it is not visited, you have not created anything great. There is a road, it does not mean something. There is someone using that for good purpose. Again, there could be that it is used for, suppose there was no road, so there was less of problems, and then you created roads and problems multiply. Even this can happen. So it is up to us to see how best we benefit. So if the society can benefit, we will all be really satisfied. We would have done our small bit, given the divine help that we have all received. I think it is enough to stop now. And some other time, anyway, I have 2 more times to bother all of you people. I will just take some other subject that time and talk. Thank you all.
It is very difficult to tender words of appreciation for Dr. Ramanujam. There is a saying in English, there are 4 kinds of people. He who knows not and knows not he knows not. He is a fool, shun him. He who knows not and knows he knows not. He is simple, teach him. He who knows and knows not he knows. He is asleep, wake him. He who knows and knows he knows. He is wise, follow him. Let me just repeat. There are people who do not know, but they do not know that they do not know, which Ramanujan was referring to. He who knows not and knows not, he knows not. Very, very difficult to handle such people. He is a fool, shun him. He who knows not and knows he knows not. In fact, that is the realization that has dawned upon a good many of us upon Ramanujan's expositions. He's simple, teach him. Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So, if a Shishya goes to the Guru, then he can get it. He who knows and knows not he knows, he is asleep, wake him. We never knew what kind of treasures we had. Ramanujan is giving a clarion call for us to know what rich treasures our heritage has. And I think he falls into the fourth category. He who knows and knows he is wise. Follow him. What is the richness of our heritage? He is referring to manuscripts. In the recent publication on computational linguistics, it's the International Seminar on Computational Linguistics, mainly pertaining to Sanskrit, Peter Scharf writes in his editorial that the number of manuscripts in Sanskrit all over the world, India and abroad, comes to 5 million, none of them as yet seeing the light of day. And of them, more than 75% are in Sanskrit. 5 million manuscripts. And no other heritage in the world has these many manuscripts. And this shows that it is the production of manuscripts in India has been a pan-Indian program through centuries, through millennia. So this continuous tradition, in fact, MacDonald in his History of Sanskrit Literature makes a point. He says, the remarkable continuity of the Sanskrit tradition. You see, Vivekananda, this year you are celebrating the centenary year of Vivekananda. So there, Vivekananda mentions, where has gone the Greek and the Roman civilization? Where have they gone? So the Egyptian civilization, the Mesopotamian, all are gone. So if you look into Spengler's history of civilizations, you can draw a graph. So civilizations have risen and fallen, risen and fallen, and risen and fallen through spans of hardly 200 years, 300 years, 500 years, not more. But here are two civilizations, the Indian and the Chinese, which have lasted for thousands of years. And a good deal of what China has as its best, it owes to India. Chinese travelers used to come to India to specialize. And Huan Song and others, they came to India. Itsing, it is recorded in history, Itsing from China went to Sumatra first before coming to India because he wanted to get the best, topmost knowledge from India. And therefore, for an initial training in Sanskrit, he went to Sumatra. These are all recorded in history books. So such was the place of India, a place of pilgrimage to all seekers of knowledge. The one advantage with Dr. Ramanujan is that he has a very pan-Indian outlook. He has traveled the length and breadth of the country. Unfortunately for many, but fortunately for himself, he has not crossed the Indian borders. He would not cross the oceans. So he knows the best of scholars all over the country. So you go to the corner of Assam, you can find Sanskrit scholars. You can find the Vedic tradition intact in some pockets. So from one corner of the country to another corner, he knows the best of Sanskrit scholars. He knows the best of Vedic scholars. And he also knows how to extract the best from the best. So that way, he has a very great advantage. He has an excellent mental map of all the Vidyasthanas, and that's not sufficient. He has a road map for how to achieve these things. So that is the advantage that he has. He referred to the danger of shortcuts. Shortcut is a quick way of getting to the wrong place. There is a saying in English. There's also another caution. Beware of shortcuts. They will cut you short. And Ramanujan knows which is the responsible way of tackling things. And this rare combination of Sanskrit knowledge on the one hand, especially of the Vedas, along with their, yesterday we saw Ashwatth Narayana Avadhani lamenting over the fact that there are many Vedic scholars who can only recite but who do not even know the elements of the meanings of the vast Vedic literature. Ramanujan has done extensive work on this most difficult aspect of Sanskrit. So Vedic Sanskrit is not very easy to master, and apart from that knowledge, he has an excellent exposure to modern technology and the technological tools so that are required for spreading learning. These are days where we have a fear that universities may dissolve. Why? Because the best of universities like MIT and Harvard are offering courses online. So you have the, if you go to the net and see Coursera, you will see how many super excellent professors from the best of the corners of the world are offering courses online. So you can go to the best of scholars online. Now Ramanujan has devised that method of collecting some of the best pieces from the best scholars. In fact, CDAC and his own, you must visit for the work he himself has been doing. Go to the website parankusha.org. So Parankushacharya is the name of his father. So where you can find he is pressing technology at the service of ancient learning, and if only our Bhavan can take up some of his suggestions seriously and work, we will be creating a sort of a knowledge revolution, a true renaissance in India once again with the digital backup that can reach people far and wide. And as he was pointing out himself, the growth of vernacular languages, Kannada and other languages, which are all dying. So now the UNESCO has listed these languages, almost all the vernaculars of India, under dying languages. So 50 years hence, we do not know whether Kannada really can survive because the number of speakers of Kannada is dwindling so fast. In fact, Professor Ramakrishnan, A.G. Ramakrishnan of Indian Institute of Science was remarking in one of the seminars, in fact the one that took place here itself. So he said that the only Kannada that survives is the Kannada of the small screen and the big screen, the TV and the cinema. So there is no real Kannada surviving. Dr. Hama Naik, a giant of Kannada literature, so in his last days he lamented that in his younger days he opposed the introduction of Sanskrit for Kannada MA students, though that was the prevalent practice. And he said, what a blunder I did, because now I realize that there are hardly any scholars who can read the Kannada of the old Kannada or even the Nadu Kannada. So Hale Kannada or Nadu Kannada, there are very few scholars in entire Karnataka who can do that. So we have a great deal of literature, but none to be able to read and understand them as if it is an alien language. So such is the tragedy that has befallen. And you must remember that once again, as I remarked yesterday also, this is all the handiwork of the Westerners. They want to destroy every other civilization because they have a sort of a superiority complex. And if you go deep into it, it's actually born out of an inferiority complex. Now, Dr. Ramanujan himself has made one statement in one of his YouTubes, it is available, so which has roused the ire of even persons like Obama. So the kind of knowledge that Indian heritage has, the depths and the true wisdom that Indian and classical languages in India have is not to be obtained anywhere else. Therefore, the Westerners have given a call to their scholars in the academia to ransack the classical literature of the Eastern countries and cull out the best and present them as their own. You can find in Raju Malhotra's writings how this kind of fraud has been regularly going on for centuries. Take, for example, the research work of William James or Carl Jung in the field of psychology. You can find that they were very well aware of the yoga tradition. They have learned yoga, the teachings of yoga under the best of scholars of India. And even structuralism, which the father of which is called Ferdinand Saussure, was teaching Panini, so in France, and now his disciples have hushed up all the Paninian origins of his great and grand ideas, and structuralism is now universally applied to every field, whether it is study of history or study of anthropology or study of other subjects and so on. But the roots come back to India, and all this is being regularly hushed up and presented as their own. Michael Talbot has written, Mysticism and Physics, or Fritjof Capra. There are many who have written many modern ideas of the West, which have had their origin in India. And the Indian wisdom goes back to the Vedas, of which Dr. Ramanujam is a master, and I think his words carry great weight, and we must make use of the suggestions that have been given by him. I request Dr. Raghavan to K.J. Raghavan to come and honor Sri Ramanujam. He is a very senior advocate. Dr. Raghavan himself is an extremely busy person, and we are fortunate to have him here. And it's only very appropriate that he is honoring Dr. Ramanujan. Thank you, sir.